We're back with another episode of the Budget Subaru series. So in this episode, we're going to get the motor out of this one, get it all prepped and get it ready to go into the new car. If you haven't been following the build series, I bought this Subaru WRX thinking I'd got myself a bargain. Unfortunately, not long after buying it, this happened. Yep, that's rod knob, which means I needed a new engine. I wanted to repair the car on a budget, and I came across this cheap WRX for sale with a suspected blown gearbox but a working engine. In the last episode we got the engine running and fitted a new clutch which fixed the gearbox issue. So first thing I'm going to do is a compression test on this engine. It has been running sweet and I haven't had any issues, but I just want to check it over before, just for a bit of peace of mind, before we go to all the effort of pulling this engine out only to find it's got problems later on. So we'll do that now. So I've tested 3 out of the 4 cylinders and they've all come up perfect compression, right within spec. So we're on to the last one. So cross your fingers, cross your toes, wish me luck. Let's hope that this thing is good. So compression tests come up great. So all 4 cylinders were 150 PSI, which is within the factory spec. So this motor's good to go. So I'm gonna get stuck into it now and start pulling it out. So I've got everything disconnected as far as I can tell, but this is the first Subaru engine I've removed, so I'm sure I'll find out in a minute when I go to lift it if there's anything still attached, but we'll get the crane over and give it a go. So motor's out, that was pretty easy. So next thing I want to do is finish stripping the rest off this car. So I'm going to take the wheels and suspension out of that one. But first thing I want to check is that the wheels are going to fit. So this Subaru actually came with upgraded brakes when I bought it. So they've fitted a set of Willwood 6-piston calipers. So I need to make sure that the wheels off that one, they're only 17s, and I'm running 18s at the moment. I need to make sure the 17s are actually going to clear that rotor. So I'm going to check that now before we go any further. So it looks like the 17s will fit nicely on here. There's still plenty of clearance. I wasn't sure exactly which model of wheelwood brakes I had because there was two different types of the 6-piston, and one of them you could only run 18-inch wheels or bigger, or they'll foul on the caliper. So looks like I've got the size down, so we can run these and she'll be sweet. So now it was time to swap over the lowered springs. So the suspension we're taking off the other one isn't anything too special. It's just a set of lowered king springs and some better shocks. So I've driven the other one around. It was a nice solid upgrade, sits a good height and seems to handle a bit better. So I've had coilovers before. I don't mind them, but they're a bit stiff for normal road driving. So, I mean, these ones are basically free, so we'll just whack them in. That's the front suspension and wheels swapped over, so that all fitted perfectly. So now onto the rear. Now I didn't know, I thought on these that it would be in the boot, the access to the top of the strut, but I just had a quick check online and it's actually, you've got to take the back seats out. So I'll have to do that on both cars now, so we'll get them swapped over. So that's the wheels and suspension swapped over now, so I'm happy with how they fit. So I don't have to roll the guards or anything because it's not too low. It clears the big brakes nicely and it should handle and drive a lot better than what the old factory suspension did. So now that we've got the wheels and suspension fitted, there's one more thing I want to do before we pull this engine out, and that's take it for one final drive. So I've taken everything we need out of the other Subaru, and that one will be sold off now as a rolling shell, and we're going to move on and focus on getting this thing back on the road. So I'm super keen to get this thing back on the road. It's been sitting there for months just looking at me waiting for a new engine. So we've finally got that sorted. So we need to go through, get that engine all up to spec, and then we can rip this out and swap it over. So in the next episode, we're going to rip out the broken engine, swap everything onto this motor, get it back in and hopefully get it driving. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.